Yo, what's good YouTube? ZAMCRO here, aka Scoop, back with the Pokemon Battle Federation, and we have our Season 9, Week number 11 matchup, where we're taking on the Pittsburgh Primarinas. So, as we've been saying, we hadn't had the best season, so all these games are must win, and I think we're secured for playoffs at this point, but definitely need to secure our seed. Kind of want to uh, get a certain seed so that we can avoid potential matchups that could be detrimental to our team, make it easier for us in playoffs. That being said, we have week number 11 against the Pittsburgh Primarinas, coached by Adam, who has a very powerful squad, as you see on screen. He's got the Hoopa Unbound, Mega Scizor, Zapdos, Suicune, Arcanine, Haxorus, Cofagrigus, Haxorus and Cofagrigus, Lycanroc Dusk, Hitmonlee, Piloswine, and the Shiinotic. And we have same team as all season: Tapu Koko, Kyurem Black, Mega Heracross, Nidoqueen, Ferrothorn, Swampert, Mesprit, Mismagius, Silvally, Alomomola, and the Entei, where we're bringing this week Tapu Koko, Kyurem Black, Mega Heracross, Nidoqueen, Swampert, and the Silvally. And our Z-move users are Tapu Koko and Mismagius, and our opponent's Z-move users are Haxorus and Lycanroc Dusk. So, Hoopa Unbound is a huge pain in the rear end to prep for, to create a switch in for. So that being said, we'll go ahead and, well, no, we'll talk about it in chronological order from left to right, but we'll talk about matchup briefly. I don't have the best switch in to Hoopa Unbound. It pretty much murks something. Mega Scizor, I can handle a little bit easier, but it could still get out of hand versus my squad, so I got to watch out for that. Zapdos is a huge problem. It's just able to naturally outpace everything on my squad outside of Koko and Kyurem Black, and he could outpace Kyurem Black as well if he wanted to. I don't expect it, but it could, and it's just a nuisance as well. It has things like Extra Sensory, Hidden Power Grass, and Discharge and Heat Wave. Of course, it does have kind of like a move slot syndrome here, as it can't pack all of those. So I will have a check to it one way or another. But yeah, really scary mon. Suicune is a huge pain. Adam's actually been riding Suicune into his chances for playoffs here, and this kind of one of the matches that will determine if Adam makes playoffs. So that was important to note for him. He does have Arcanine and Haxorus, two mons that could be offensive or defensive, can be very versatile in both. Cofagrigus has Trick Room options. Hoopa Unbound under Trick Room is pretty scary, but I do have Trick Room options of myself, and I do have things that could, underspeed Hoopa under Trick Room, so I don't have to really worry too much about that. Lycanroc Dusk could also be a huge issue, but I do have, multiple switch-ins to that as well. Hitmonlee have Mesprit and Nidoqueen for. I don't really see a reason to bring Hitmonlee, but he could bring like an Electric Seed variant to take advantage of my electric terrain, so I definitely had that in mind. And I know he's going to bring the Piloswine. It's just such a good Tapu Koko response with the Eviolite and its natural bulk. It's just insanely, and its typing, it's just insanely good versus Tapu Koko. And last, he's got the Shiinotic, like I mentioned. That's in my threat versus my team. Not something that I have to worry too much about, but could still be problematic. That being said, what I know he's going to bring is the Hoopa Unbound, the Suicune, and the Piloswine, and the rest are just wide open. He could bring Mega Scizor, Zapdos, Arcanine. He could bring Cofagrigus, Lycanroc, Haxorus. It's just really open to what he could bring. I did notice that his only two Stealth Rockers are Lycanroc Dusk and Piloswine, and that Swampert could lead off well versus those, and put a lot of fear in him. Not only that, but it's with a defensive Swampert, I can switch into Mega Scizor really good, Arcanine really good, Haxorus really good, even Hitmonlee if I have to, and can stop Zapdos from just freely clicking electric type moves and things like that. And I do have Roar on it, but we'll talk about that in a little bit later on. I just wanted to mention about his two rockers and how one of my rockers leads off really well versus his two rockers. So all that being said, we have a Tapu Koko here with a modest nature, enough speed to outpace the Lycanroc Dusk, which is his fastest Pokemon, and We've got max special attack with a modest nature. We've got U-turn, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, and Roost with the Fairy MZ, so that we can get that nice Twinkle tackle off. The idea is to U-turn out, weaken the Piloswine to the point where it's going to be in range of Dazzling Gleam into Twinkle tackle. And then Electric Terrain Boosted Thunderbolt really does the job versus everything else outside of Piloswine, and I guess really Haxorus as well, and the Shiinotic to a point, but I don't expect Shiinotic to come. If it does come, I do have ways to, bust it. If it comes in on Tapu Koko as I U-turn out into Kieran Black or something like that, it could be very problematic for my opponent. So I don't expect him to bring passive ways to deal with Tapu Koko, probably Piloswine, in which I can still bring in things like Mega Heracross, which we'll get to in a second. My last move on Tapu Koko is Roost. I can switch in on Suicune multiple times because I do have Roost, the ability to recover my health, and I don't have to, worry about getting whittled over time. If I come in on a Scald and I know he's going to switch out or click Protect or something like that, I can just Roost up and then go from there. Next up we have Kieran Black with the Babiri Berry, which what the Babiri Berry does is takes half damage from super effective steel type moves. So, for example, if I was matched up against Mega Scizor and I was at around half, normally Bullet Punch would probably take me out. However, I do have the Babiri Berry, which will allow me to survive, and then I can take him out with the Hidden Power Fire. We do have Ice Beam. It's our move of choice versus basically everything that's not Suicune and the Scizor, which we have the Fusion Bolt and the Hidden Power Fire for. I guess Arcanine kind of walls this as well with the Intimidate, but I have ways to beat down Arcanine as well, such as Nidoqueen and Swampert in the back. Our last move on Kieran Black is also Roost. We have enough speed to outpace Hoopa Unbound and max special attack with a modest nature, and the rest into HP and special defense. Really bulky Kieran Black, can take hits from, not really bulky, but its natural bulk allows us to take hits from things like Piloswine and Cofagrigus, Suicune, Zapdos, all pretty comfortably. Anything that's not super effective, it takes those hits super comfortably. Next up we've got Heracross, another mon to where if he brings in something like Piloswine on a Koko U-turn, I can just bring this thing in, click Close Combat, and knock something out, or get big damage on something, assuming he doesn't go straight into Cofagrigus. Speaking of Cofagrigus, I debated between Knockoff and Rock Blast for my last move, and ultimately decided that I would go with Rock Blast. It does about the same to Cofagrigus as Knockoff, and does a significant amount more to the Zapdos, which is really nice. I've got Sub and Swords Dance here as well. I can sub up on a predicted Piloswine switch, Suicune switch if it looks like a Wincon, things like that, and get a sub up, then go from there. I can Swords Dance depending on what he goes into, I can attack depending on what he goes into, and just kind of scout from there. I am max HP with a Jolly Nature. Mega Heracross never needs attack investment. However, I do have 56 attack EVs with a Jolly Nature, like I mentioned. Well, that's about it for Mega Heracross, and we can dive into more of our defensive mons now. We have Nidoqueen with the Black Sludge item and the Sheer Force ability. Allows us to do a little bit more damage to certain things. We got Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Sludge Wave, and Toxic Spikes, so we've got dual hazards and dual stab. Allows us to hit his entire team for at least neutral damage with Earth Power and Sludge Wave, the combination of the both. And we are max HP, max defense. We can take hits from, well, basically what we had to do was make a lot of defensive mons so that we could take hits from Arcanine and Haxorus and Scizor and just, stay a little bit comfortable while doing it. Hitmonlee, even, and Lycanroc Dusk. Lots of physical threats there, so basically all of our mons are physically defensive, except for Savali, which is a mixed defense set. We'll get into that in a minute though. So we got a defensive Nidoqueen here. It switches into Arcanine and Hitmonlee and Lycanroc Dusk really well. And then we've got a defensive Swampert, which switches into, Scizor, Arcanine, Haxorus, Zapdos, Lycanroc Dusk really well. It can take hits from Hitmonlee as well, but doesn't really appreciate them like the poison type Nidoqueen does. Anyways, on Swampert, we are max HP, max defense. Basically, with a little bit of special attack investment, with Scald, Ice Beam, Roar, and Protect. Protect is there so that we can scout for things on Arcanine, such as Sunny Day Solar Beam, Power Herb Solar Beam, and Natural Gift Grass. It also allows us to scout for Toxic or Hidden Power Grass on Zapdos and Suicune, as well as Grass Knot on Hoopa Unbound. Really need to scout for those moves so that I don't just get blown back. Yeah, it would be really problematic. Anyways, Scald hits his entire team outside of the Suicune, but I am going to try to Toxic that with either Silvally or Nidoqueen, or just, hard check it with Tapu Koko. I do have that option always, and my moves of choice are Ice Beam, or for coverage are Scald and Ice Beam. Ice Beam hits the Shiinotic and the Haxorus for way more than anything else, and I thought about running Toxic, but I felt like, just being able to roar something out, something that's going to set up on me, or if it's the last mon, just clicking Ice Beam into Ice Beam would be best versus something like Haxorus or Shiinotic. So opted not to go for the Toxic, and felt like Toxic Spikes on Nidoqueen should do the job when it comes to poisoning his mons and making sure that they're not a long-term threat like Suicune being a huge issue. Anyways, last but not least, we have Silvally Dark here. It is our Hoopa Unbound check. We do not have a Dark type on the squad, so Silvally Dark kind of makes up for that. We got an Impish Nature here, mixed defense with EV spreads, things like that. You can check that out in the description. I always leave my paste bin when I go over my squads. I always leave my paste bins down below as well. We've got Parting Shot and U-Turn. U-Turn hits the Hoopa and gives us momentum. So that's the reason for U-Turn over something like X-Scissor or something like that. Parting Shot allows us, what that does. Gives us momentum like U-Turn, the initiative on the switch out, as well as lowering your opponent's attack and special attack by 1 stage, which is really nice. We can take hits from Hoopa Unbound as long as it's not Specs. Specs, Life Orb, Focus Blast, or Drain Punch has, well, not necessarily Drain Punch, has a chance if he's got some prior damage and he's got rocks up. But Focus Blast is a 2-hit KO guaranteed. If he's Specs, if he's Life Orb, I think it's pretty close to being guaranteed as well. But if he's not a boosting item, then we can take Focus Blast pretty comfortably and U-Turn out. We also have Toxic on this thing as another means of poisoning things that have not touched the ground, such as Zapdos. So, that being said, that's the squad, and we'll go ahead and hop into the replay and see how things actually went here. Alright, so here we are with the replay. This is it, the regular season of Pokemon Battle Federation, season number 9 finale of the regular season. Playoffs are in the future. That being said, facing off against Adam, like I mentioned in the team building section, Overgrowth Reptile 13, and he has come with Hoopa Unbound, Piloswine, Suicune, Arcanine, Cofagrigus, and Blackmont Raikougars. I see no Haxorus, I see no Zapdos, and no Mega Scizor. Immediately felt like 1,000,000 pounds were lifted off of my shoulders with those threats being gone, and I feel like bringing the Fairy MZ over the Electrium Z was fantastic, as the Electrium Z would have only probably been used for something like the Mega Scizor, whereas the Fairy MZ looks really, really nice, especially having the Piloswine here. He's got 2 potential Stealth Rockers in this matchup, Piloswine and the Lycanroc Dusk, so I'm obviously going to lead off with my Swampert. It doesn't necessarily have a bad matchup versus anything, and I can scout whatever he wants to go for with Protect and go from there. So I'm going to lead off with Swampert, and he leads off with his Arcanine. So if you're in something like Power Herb Solar Beam or Natural Gift Grass, I'm just going to go for Protect here, scout when he wants to go for it. If he's Power Herb or Natural Gift, then he burns his berry or his item, and he does just that. He goes for the Solar Beam on turn 1, and we're able to block that. We're going to switch out to Tapu Koko on this turn, predicting his Suicune to come in, and we get that right as well. And we go for U-Turn here. And this turn, he's going to click Protect. Sees that I could potentially be locked into U-Turn, so this turn I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt, just in case he wanted to stay in, predicting that I was potentially locked into U-turn. So here I U-turn out as he brings in his Piloswine immune to my Thunderbolt. I get my Mega Heracross in, and I can click sub here. And I'm going to do just that. My opponent gets the Intimidate off, and Rock Blast should do quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately for my opponent, he does miss the Fire Blast, and that's really, really trash in my opinion. This game's being tainted by RNG already on turn 7. He missed a Fire Blast, so at this point I wouldn't have a sub, and he did reveal to be faster than me. And on the following turn, he misses again. I did offer my opponent a restart. I did not like that at all. And he declined. He said it was Pokemon. And so he goes into his Scythagoras. And he doesn't break my sub on the first turn. So I go for a Swords Dance here as he breaks my sub finally. I go for the sub, as this time his Shadow Ball breaks my sub on the first turn. I go for sub again, hoping that he doesn't get the same roll. But he gets a critical hit on this one. It doesn't really matter. He could have or may not have broken the sub there. However, I'm not going to sub again. I'm at a range to where if he attacks me, there's a potential for me living and I could get 2 hits off. Whereas if I just subbed up and he broke my sub anyway, then I would only be able to bring him close to death instead of all the way to death. But Heracross picks up 2 kills there in an unfortunate way, but it does happen. I get my Nidoqueen in on his Lycanroc, and I'm able to get up my Toxic Spikes, which could be huge for me versus the Suicune. And I bring in my Koko hard on Suicune, and I'm able to not U-turn, but Roost up here as my opponent clicks Protect, and I'm going to be able to, I could click Dazzling Gleam, but into Twinkle Tackle won't knock this thing out just yet. So I'm going to hard switch out into Swampert, see what my opponent wants to go for, as he just goes for the Earthquake, which is a fine play there. He could save his Piloswine, and he does. He goes into his Suicune. I wasn't for sure if he would. I was just going to click Protect anyway to just get a little round of leftovers back. Helps me a lot versus the Lycanroc Dusk. He goes for the Toxic here, and I roar him out into his Piloswine. It's more than likely going back into his Suicune. Not too big of an issue. I'm going to click Scald. I was hesitant to click Scald early because I didn't want to burn Suicune, but now that he's poisoned, I don't mind at all. I go into my Koko here once again as he does bring in the Suicune, and click Scald here. I'll avoid getting burned, which is nice for me, and I can Roost up here or I can attack. He's going to go out into his Hoopa Unbound. I did click Thunderbolt there. I didn't expect him to allow me a free Roost. If anything, he would have attacked or hard switched, and he does go hard into the Hoopa. I do have Silvally Dark though, and I'm able to be immune to his Psychic and can just Parting Shot out as he brings back in his Suicune. And back comes the Koko. So now I can now I can Roost back up, or I could attack, and I'm just going to attack once again, expecting my opponent to stay in this time. Just a little mind games there. However, the unfortunate part is that I am in range of Lycanroc Dust now, so I had to switch out to my Swampert here, and based on that, he went for Drill Run, so I'm assuming that he might be Scarf now. He didn't switch up his move. He sacks off the Piloswine here, brings back in his Hoopa Unbound. I'm going to go into my Silvally Dark here, see what kind of attack he goes for, and he goes for the Focus Blast. So he misses, a little bit unfortunate, goes for the Focus Blast again, and he misses again as I U-turn out. And I can bring back in my Nidoqueen here. I could have brought in Swampert, but I didn't want him to potentially knock me out and me lose a point of differential just because I wanted Swampert to get another knockout. And differential is important for seeding at this point. Very, very, very important. As you see up here on the right hand side, I was talking about a restart offer. I told him I wish he would have taken it, basically, and I really do. I don't like how this game went. I'm not saying that he had a win had he landed the Fire Blast or anything like that. But what I'm saying is I just can't take pride in a win like this. I mean, I feel like I played fantastic, I felt, but the game was also helping me and aiding me in ways that I didn't want help. Had he landed his first Fire Blast, he would have broken my sub. I would have broke him down to 2% or so, and then I would have hard switched into my Swampert or something like that. I would have had one less answer to Lycanroc Dusk. I would have had one less answer to Piloswine potentially. It just depends on what would have happened. And then he missed the Focus Blast at the end, which, depending on his set, could have 2-hit KO'd my Silvally from that range. And that's unfortunate too. So I would have been forced to go. Well, actually, I could have went into Coco and roosted up, expecting him to be Scarf. And if he actually changed his move and knocked me out, then I could go into my Kieran Black and should win from there. However, if my Coco was able to outpace Hoopa, and he wasn't Scarf, and I was able to roost up, and he was locked in the Focus Blast, I could get out of range of Hoopa and Lycanroc, knock both of them out, and get Coco some more knockouts. But I wanted to be safe as possible here, and it's really unfortunate that the RNG came into play there. However, this does lock us in the playoffs, so that's that. Don't know what the rest of the playoffs are going to look like at this point in the or at this point in the season, but it's something to think about. We've got Sebi, who's locked in a bye, and then the rest are still up for grabs, the last 5 spots for playoffs. But that's going to be it. So let me know what you guys thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field. Good game to Adam. Sorry it went the way it went. I really wish you would have taken my restart offer, but I can understand. I take pride in you playing a game and you understanding and knowing the risk that you take when you play the game. So, like, you know this is a luck-based game, and I respect you for playing it as such. However, I have a different little competitive sense of play here. I do respect the game and its mechanics, but I do wish it wasn't so luck-based, so that the better player always won. You know, just nothing involving luck, no critical hits, no misses, anything like that. But it is what it is. Like I mentioned, good game to him, and yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.